starting to stop, and honestly, that's all it truly is. You know, sometimes you're going hot, then you'll wait for a second, then you'll get cold, then get back hot, then get cold, and you know, my arm and body wasn't used to that, you know, so it's just an adjustment like within the body, you know, within my arm.
What happens when reporters come lobbing slick questions and Shedeur Sanders steps up with a mic, a smirk, and no patience for the spin? You get straight fireworks. This wasn't just a response, it was a clinic in handling the media with style and precision. Shedeur didn't just respond, he dismantled the narrative, one sharp line at a time. Calm, clever, and completely in control. If you thought his talent stopped at the hash marks, wait until you see how he sidesteps loaded questions like he's dodging defenders. Let's break it down.
Sanders responds to the haters like Tony Grossi and many others who said he's sabotaging his own self because he reported his own injury. He broke it down right there. Let's never negate the part Shedeur, well, let's speak in hyperboles. Did you see Mary Kay being the tweaker? We're just speaking in hyperboles, bro. Did you see the tweaker out there just, she's thirsty as hell for more salacious stories. I bet you she spins this. Let's look at Mary Kay again, look at her. You see this lady? Look at this tweaker. She's not a lady, my fault. She's not a lady at all. Look at that tweaker, look at her.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe Shedeur Sanders to the channel, it helps more than you think. The media thought they had him right where they wanted, cue the suspense. A few smug reporters rolled in, agendas polished like steak knives, ready to carve into Shedeur Sanders with one of those rehearsed, backhanded questions that always begin with "some people say," and land with, "Are you maybe overhyped?" The setup was textbook. The tone? Condescending. But if they were expecting him to stumble, they clearly forgot who they were dealing with.
Yeah. So that's pretty mature of you. I guess maybe mature isn't the right word. But for you to self-report, when I know it's hard for you guys to take yourselves out of even one rep when you're in the middle of a competition. So did you have to debate that at all, or did you just know?
No, of course. It's definitely something, you know, in your mind, and I always hear my dad's voice in my mind, you know, all the time, because it's always bone or blood, you know his motto, and you know his slang with everything. So, of course, I was definitely hearing his voice in the back of my head, but at the end of the day, I want to be productive, I want to give you guys the best work, and I want to be at my best at all times, you know.
But what they got instead? Oh, baby, it was a verbal pick six with style points. Shedeur didn't just field questions, he put on a clinic in Poise dominance. This wasn't panic. This was precision. See, there's a special kind of delusion that hits sports media when they think they've cornered a young, high-profile athlete who dares to wear confidence like a chain. They misread swagger as ego, calm as media training, and drip as a distraction. But Shedeur? He shattered that narrative. Flipped the script, rewrote the scene, and walked off like he just called game. It wasn't damage control, it was domination.
The unmitigated galls to stand in front of that man that you dirtied his name and spread false information. I'm off the tweaker right now, Mary Kay. Let's stick to Shedeur Sanders responding to the quote-unquote so-called injury. He's explaining to y'all it was never really an injury. It's a soreness that I felt that I actually been going through. It's a climate change. I went through it in Colorado and I didn't have to sit out. Remember, he's not the one who decided to sit out, Tony Grossi. It was the Cleveland Browns medical staff. Well, at least I hope it was, because part of me believe it was Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam sabotaging. I really believe that, but I'm not.
He didn't flinch, stumble, or take the bait. Not even close. Shedeur met those loaded questions with the calm of someone who's been game planned against since day one. And you could almost see the unease behind the media smiles when his answers didn't match the script they came with. Because how do you twist poised, sharp, articulate, and unshaken into drama? You can't. All you can do is sit there, stunned, while the kid you underestimated rewrites your narrative in real time.
I think that's pretty much it, is reps. Yeah, I think every rep I get in general is valuable. You know, we definitely taking things up a notch. I would say, with everything. So every rep, you know, anytime I step on the field, I take it, you know, like it could be my last, because you don't know. It's players that we was just practicing with last week that's not here no more. So like I said, it's more about a bond. It's more about going all out. It's more about, you know, how you'll be remembered, you know.
Each answer was wrapped in chill but packed heat. He wasn't throwing shade, he was casting full solar eclipses with a grin. The message was clear: if you come for him, you better bring more than cliches and clickbait. Shedeur isn't just media trained, he's media proof. The moment turned into a lesson, and the lesson was simple: never mistake polished for passive. He's not here to play your narrative, he's here to run his own playbook. 1 minute, it's a tense press conference room. The next, Shedeur sipping on subtle shade like it's electrolytes. Every reporter who came in thinking they were about to humble a Sanders walked out blinking like they forgot their own questions halfway through. It was the kind of smooth rebuttal that made even the mics lean back. Let's not pretend this was some spur-of-the-moment comeback. This was strategic, polished, and dipped in that signature Dion DNA. The kind of media maneuver that said, "I'm not here to play your game. I'm building my own league." You know what really fried their circuits? Shedeur never got loud. He never flexed unnecessarily. He just sat there with the poise of a man who already read the article they hadn't written yet. The man basically filed their headlines for them, then reworded them better.
I mean, thank you for saying that, because I don't, like, my job here isn't to prove people wrong. Like, I prove myself right. And I fully have self-belief, you know, and what those people say, that's just their opinion. So I don't truly care. They don't really live in my mental space about that type of stuff. It really doesn't do anything for me.
And the cherry on top? He did it all while looking like he had somewhere cooler to be in 5 minutes. This wasn't just confidence, it was premeditated composure. Shedeur didn't just walk into that press room, he waltzed in like it was a fashion show for calm destruction. No mic drop needed. His energy said, "I am the mic." You could almost see the wires crossing in some of those journalists' heads. They threw curveballs, and Shedeur treated them like underhand pitches at a charity game. Every veiled jab? Smacked back with a grin that said, "Bless your heart for trying." There wasn't a single ounce of panic. No fumbling. No flinching. Just that steady, unbothered tone of a quarterback who can see the whole field, including the press box. This wasn't a Q&A, it was a clinic. A slow, elegant takedown of narratives wrapped in politeness and precision. Every answer he gave sounded like it came with a footnote and a moral lesson. He wasn't just answering questions. He was correcting the syllabus. Reporters came with tricks, Shedeur came with receipts. And he didn't even need to raise his voice. Just a smile, a pause, and that uncanny ability to say, "I see exactly what you're doing," without ever saying it. Of course, this isn't the first time someone tried to wrap a narrative around him like gift paper on a live grenade.
Is it on the field? Is it in the media room? Is there a specific place where you say, "Man,
I would say mentally. I would definitely say mentally. Even regardless if people, if media, you know, have good ways or bad ways to come about me, you know, I'm more mature and not making those same mistakes I made, you know, in college or whatever I did. So, you know, I treat everybody with respect and with care, and whenever everybody gets over, you know, their own hate towards me for their own weird reason, then, you know, everything will be back good. So.
But it is the first time that Grenade smiled, gave you a quote, and walked away without blowing up, just leaving you looking silly with shrapnel made of your own assumptions. They came expecting fumbles. What they got was finesse. See, the media loves a storyline. Especially the kind where a confident young quarterback with swagger, lineage, and more charisma than their newsroom can handle dares to exist without apologizing. So they show up, armed with skepticism dressed as questions, hoping to rattle him into a soundbite they can frame as cocky or combative. But what they ran into was a chess player at a checkers convention. One reporter tried the "what do you say to those who think you haven't proven anything yet" setup. Now, usually that's when a young athlete trips over a diplomatic answer or launches into a defensive monologue. Not Shedeur. No stuttering. No sidestepping. Just that calm, polite smile that says, "You poor sweet summer child." And then he served up a response so clean, it could have been wiped down with disinfectant. He didn't just block the agenda. He spun it around, made it question its own relevance, and sent it back to the locker room with a towel over its head.
He's unflappable. We have been through so much as a family, as athletes, that he is prepared for everything. The only thing that really hurt me, when they started the line and saying he wasn't prepared or he was this or he came in with headphones on. I know my sheep. I know my son. I know what I raised. I know better than that. Shedeur ain't never did nothing stupid like that. Ain't never been nowhere unprepared, ill-prepared. No.
And the best part? He did it without raising his voice, rolling his eyes, or reaching for cliches. Every word was measured. Every pause perfectly timed. It wasn't just a rebuttal, it was a blueprint on how to handle pressure with a velvet glove and steel knuckles. By the time the media had figured out they'd been outclassed, he was already halfway through his Gatorade and dapping up teammates. The cameras kept rolling, but the story had flipped. They came looking for controversy, and what they found was clarity. A young man completely unbothered, entirely in control, and allergic to being boxed in. What Shedeur delivered wasn't attitude. It was altitude. A level up. A reminder that being young doesn't mean being naive, and being confident doesn't mean being careless. It means knowing who you are, and not letting anyone Photoshop you into a narrative that doesn't fit. And oh, the faces in that press room. You could practically hear the inner monologues unraveling. Wait, that wasn't in the script. Reporters shuffled papers like that would save them. Eyebrows were doing gymnastics. Shedeur didn't just answer questions, he rewrote the playbook mid-interview and handed it back with a smirk. Every time they tried to steer the narrative off a cliff, he calmly rerouted it, GPS style, back to reality. Not with aggression, not with passive aggression, just cold, composed command. It was surgical. A mic'd-up mental highlight reel.
Hey, Shedeur Sanders, first of all, salute, clap, clap, young royal. The way you answered them reporters' questions today after training camp, perfect. The reporter's asking Shedeur Sanders, why doesn't he think he's getting any first-team reps? They actually won't debate him into saying something that's going to be controversial. But Shedeur let him know that he's thankful to be where he is. He's basically extremely happy to have the opportunity that he is. Whether he's getting first-team reps or third-team reps, he's cool with that.
Shedeur's biggest flex? He made accountability look fun. Not once did he duck responsibility or inflate stats like a car dealership ad. He owned everything, the good, the bad, the Twitter noise. But he did it like a guy who'd already had breakfast with pressure and lunch with expectations. Dinner? Oh, that's reserved for beating your narrative in prime time. What made it even sweeter was how he casually dismantled assumptions without lifting a rhetorical finger. The baited questions? Swatted like flies at a barbecue. Loaded insinuations? Neutralized with poise that said, "I've heard this tune before, and it's still off-key." He didn't need to raise his voice. He let the receipts do the lifting. Let's also take a moment to admire how he handled the weird backhanded compliments. You know the ones. "You're so well-spoken." Which is code for, we didn't expect this level of articulation from someone who wears chains and throws dimes. Again, no flinch. Just that look. The one that quietly says, "You thought I came here to be surprised by myself?" He didn't just flip the script. He co-authored a whole new one, signed it in permanent marker, and made them read it aloud with awkward smiles. They tried to box him in, but forgot he doesn't do cardboard.
Immensely popular. Why do you think that is?
Why you do?
You like him?
Well, yeah. I guess that's what it is. I just be myself every day. I can't control what's external. I can only control what's internal.
But with that, Shedeur, how do you block all this stuff out and be a football player?
By doing what my dad raised me to do since I was like 5 years old. You know, I seen it. I seen what he was able to do, and I have a lot of great resources and mentors, you know, to keep me on the right track.
Shedeur's presence wasn't about damage control, it was about setting the tempo, running the offense, and casually reminding everyone that he's already 10 moves ahead. So while critics were busy building narratives, he was already turning them into bloopers. Welcome to the new media era, starring Shedeur, directed by Shedeur, produced by, well, you get the point. By the halfway mark, you could see the reporters adjusting their questions in real time. Like students realizing the pop quiz was actually an open book exam but they brought the wrong textbook. And what really stinks? Shedeur didn't even give them a meltdown to clickbait. No walk-off. No angry finger-pointing. Just a series of calm mic drops that left everyone wondering if they just got educated or roasted. Even the cameramen were probably zooming in thinking, is this dude serious right now? Because this is gold. Let's be honest, half the reason the media clutches their pearls over Shedeur is because he doesn't fit the mold they built in the 90s and can't seem to upgrade. They want humble pie and stoic grit. He brings confidence a la carte and receipts with extra sauce.
But they wanted him to answer that a completely, totally different way. But he answered it with humility, with composure, with professionalism. And he answered it appropriately. It's not his question to answer. He's just going out there doing what he can. And that's something you ask the coach. And I know exactly what they were trying to do to Shedeur. They wanted him to say something controversial. And he answered that question perfectly. Because let me ask you all this. What fifth round quarterback or what fifth round draft, now let's just say what fifth round quarterback are they asking this question to? What fifth round quarterback would you expect to be getting first team reps 1 week in the one week in the training camp?
He doesn't just play the game. He rewrites the playbook. And the best part? He never once pretended not to know exactly what was happening. That awareness? Scary. You could see it in his eyes, the mental highlight reel running while the questions were still halfway out of the reporter's mouth. Man saw the route, cut it off, and picked the ball before the media even finished the pass. Oh, and can we talk about the posture? Nothing says, I know I'm untouchable, like sitting back in your chair like it's a throne, answering loaded questions like they're bedtime stories. You almost feel bad for the media folks. Almost. They walked in thinking they had a shovel and found out the ground was concrete. Every dig bounced right back like karma in cleats. The agenda that day? Buried itself. There's something deliciously ironic about people trying to trap a Sanders with narratives. As if the man hasn't grown up in a household where media spin was background noise. Shedeur grew up studying the game on and off the field. You think he can't sniff out a setup question faster than he reads a blitz? He handled the whole circus like someone who'd already seen the clown car pull up.
I know the man that Shedeur Sanders is. I know the man that Deion Sanders is. I have a great relationship with them. This is not about Shedeur's talent because, as I've stated before, he should have been a first-round pick. That's what his tape said, regardless of the name on the back of his jersey. But the reality of the situation is they are setting him up to fail.
He didn't just clap back. He reset the scoreboard. And the best part? He did it without breaking a sweat. Now, every time they try to corner him, they'll remember. This is the guy who turned their agenda into his platform. Who made their questions work for him. Who sat down and casually proved he was 5 steps ahead before they even hit record. And the moment they start typing up their little critiques again, he'll probably just be out there throwing another perfect pass, mic'd up, dropping quotables they'll use in next week's coverage. Because you don't fluster Shedeur Sanders. You feature him. And he knows it.